Hello and welcome to another Fireside Chat. It's great to have you join us. It is October the 19th and we are squarely in the middle of Healthy Relationship Week. Every year we come to you and we have this discussion about healthy relationships. We really think it is an important topic. But I wanted to introduce you to some of the folks that we have on the call today. You know Claudia Beswick, who is our Executive Director at the PMFRC. She joins us for all of the Fireside Chats. Hello, Claudia. We also have Carley Robb-Jackson with us. She is a Policy Development and Research Manager with CFMWS, and she's really very involved with the development of this campaign on a national basis. So we wanted to have her on this year to give a very different perspective of where the campaign comes from and what is involved and what are the themes and how that all kind of comes together. Claudia, before we start, what's new at the MFRC? What are the things that people should know about this week? Or coming into like the future?
Sure. So first of all, we're still dealing with the annual posting season. So a lot of new families in the area. So I encourage any new family to sign up for our newsletter and check out the website. If you are new, feel free to reach out to our information services assistants. They'd be happy to walk you through all the great things that Petawawa and the PMFRC have to offer. You can set up an appointment, you can reach them virtually, or you can just pop in at either the Northside office or the Southside Community Center. We also have bilingual staff available to answer any questions that you have. We are also very happy to share that our mental health walk-in clinic is back to in-person availability, and on the first and third Wednesday of each month, the clinic will be open from 4 to 7 o'clock in the evening. There's no need for an appointment or a referral. This is open to the CAF families, so adults, children, teens, families, couples, and you can access those services at the Family Center location, which I'm sure Julie is going to put into the chat.
And the walk-in clinic is tonight.
Yes. No, tonight's what?
Yep, oh, yeah, the 19th. Sorry. Yep.
Okay. Also, we have access to a francophone clinician at for each clinic. So there will be a bilingual social worker there, and the youth counselor will be available during the first session for the session on the first Wednesday of each month. And of course, if you would prefer to speak with someone during daytime hours, you can always contact our family advocacy advisor to schedule an intake. As part of the Healthy Relationships campaign, which we're really happy to talk about today, from the 17th to 21st of October, we're going to be facilitating our in-person 5 Love Languages workshop for couples. So this has been a very popular workshop in the past. We're really happy to bring it back in person. And because the theme for the campaign this year is relocation, if you're new to Petawawa and are interested, the workshop is there for you. You guys will have priority. Registration is open until the 17th. And usually fills up quickly. So we have a learning anxiety program available, and this program is to help children and youth during times when anxiety makes it difficult to focus on learning. There are some strategies that they can use both at home and in classrooms. So these are videos that you can access, which Julie can provide the link to. Our emotional toolkit workshop, which is specific for children and youth. We have 3 varying age groups, and this workshop will help children and youth build their own personalized emotional toolkit that they can take home with them. It's a pretty cool workshop, and this was developed by our mental health team, so very excited to be offering that in person as well. We're very happy to share that we're restarting our sensory lending library again. Some items are limited, obviously, because we still have to sanitize things when they get returned, but this is really a great resource for families who have children dealing with special needs. So a lot to offer. All the registration information is available on the CAF Connection website, in addition to what Julie is going to provide in the chat below, and a whole host of other services and activities that we have going on.
Special Needs Forum is November the 3rd as well. So if special needs is something that you're particularly interested in, that forum is an annual event, and that's November the 3rd, and I'll sneak that into the comments as well. Thanks, Claudia. Carley, so October 16th to 22nd is Healthy Relationships Week. This is something that happens every year, and it happens not just in Petawawa, but really at bases and wings across country. Can you talk to us a little bit about this year's campaign and where people can find it and get that information?
Absolutely. Thanks. And thank you for having me to be able to share a little bit about our campaign. We're really excited always to share information and help get some of the resources out to families. So The Healthy Relationships campaign, we feel like it's an important campaign because we know that couples, they face challenges, they face ups and downs in their relationships, and just like any couple, and we know that these challenges can be compounded for military couples because of some of those unique lifestyle challenges around relocation or absences and deployments, and even in some cases, risk to our loved ones. But at the same time, we also know that military couples, they face these challenges head on, and they've developed their own even unique strategies to help strengthen their relationships when they're faced with these difficulties. And so really the intention behind the Healthy Relationships campaign is to be able to provide a bit of a platform to share those stories of other military couples and the ways in which they've overcome those challenges and the experiences that they've had, to help inspire other couples and let them know that they're not alone and that they can face these challenges together and that they can learn really from others in their own communities as well.
This is just a little bit of a shameless plug, but I'm going to go ahead anyway. I love the idea of the videos of allowing couples to share their own stories and giving them a platform to actually talk about the things that they've learned along the way that worked for them in a practical way. It's something that we do a lot, excuse me, on our podcast, letting people have that platform and talk about what the lessons are. I think it's one thing to sort of see tips and ideas in a book, but if the person hasn't lived it and they don't know what the experience is, it's a little bit, I think it's a little bit easier to take advice and to sort of know that the person who's giving you advice understands it, they get it because they've lived it. And one of the things that they live is relocation, and the postings and the idea of putting all of your stuff in a truck and moving to a new place and starting over in a new community. The team has selected relocation as the theme for this year. Can you talk a little bit about why you picked that theme and sort of what are the challenges that might be unique to the relocation process?
Absolutely. And I'll just say as well, as you mentioned around the videos and the sharing of the stories, I think a special element of the campaign is the range of different families that we've had who've been willing to be part of the campaign and share their stories. So you'll see there are some younger couples that don't have children. There are couples with young kids, and there are couples that have older children, or older couples without children as well. So there's really a range of couples, so you can see at different stages in their life and in their journey. And yes, so this year we focused on relocation. Last year we looked around absences and deployments. So we know from the research and from hearing from military families that relocation can put a lot of stress on relationships. It can be full of exciting and new opportunities and challenges, but it can also bring stress and can bring uncertainty, whether for partners or for children as well. And so we wanted to develop two new tip sheets, two new resources specifically on this. So one is about getting ready for relocation. So some thinking that you can do beforehand that you can use to talk with your partner, to talk with your children, and start making some plans. And then the second one is really getting settled after the relocation as well. And so the tip sheets, I think that they give some concrete tips and suggestions around conversations to have and things to think through, but then they also highlight some actual programs and services that people can reach out to. So I think they're useful to just highlight some quick things that you can do when you're faced with a relocation, because there's, as you said, there's so much going on for a family when they're facing this. So the tip sheets are meant to be a quick guide that can support you. And then you'll also see this year that we have a few family videos where they're specifically talking about relocation and how they've managed it, different strategies they've used. Again, two with a younger couple, and then another video with children, and talking about some of the strategies that they were able to use with their kids while they were facing multiple relocations.
It is never easy. And I love the idea of the tip sheet. So not everything, like you said, so many families, there's that range of differences. Not all those tips are going to apply to you, but some of them are. And sometimes seeing it that it's a tip on a sheet means, it's a reassurance that other people must be facing this too. This is clearly not just me if it made it to the tip sheet. Claudia, we were talking about the idea of resources, and sometimes when you get to a new community, you don't necessarily know where to reach out to. A family might be new to Petawawa, may not realize that we do have in Petawawa a team of mental health professionals that are part of the MFRC team. Can you talk a little bit about the team and some of the services that they would be able to provide for either a new family or a family that has been here for a while, or maybe just new to the MFRC? A little bit about what the services are available.
We take a very family-centric approach to the services, as every family is unique and there could be a lot of different factors that impact their health and well-being. So I think that we are specifically fortunate in that we have quite a large mental health team that really work collaboratively together. Where there may be challenges or resources required, it's really our objective to provide services that could address that, and it's really fundamental in supporting our families and helping their getting settled within the community. So for those families who may not know, the first point of contact, if you feel your family is dealing with a crisis, if you're seeking mental health supports, either to access a social worker, or if you just need some information or resources within the community, then you can reach out to the Mental Health and Wellness Office and either speak to the Mental Health and Wellness Coordinator or to the Family Advocacy Advisor. These positions are really critical within the organization. It supports the families to the appropriate level of service that they're looking for. So not every client needs a social worker. Sometimes it's just about a warm call, a transfer to another local community resource. And it really is a one-stop philosophy, making navigating these services much easier for the family. And if a family member does need the service of a social worker, the Family Advocacy Advisor would conduct an intake and then refer them to the appropriate social worker. It's also important for teens to have access to support services when they need them. So we're very lucky to have a dedicated youth counselor that shares their time between their office and 2 high schools. The youth counselor attends Bishop Smith High School 1 day a week and Valor 2 afternoons a week. Teens can reach out to her directly to ask any of their questions or to set up an appointment if they would like, either at the school, or they can also contact the Family Advocacy Office for that connection. I also referenced a couple of times in the opening remarks where we talked about the mental health walk-in clinic and their emotional toolkit workshops. So that's very beneficial as well. And we also have individual brief sessions, counseling sessions for clients who need access on the same day. So we have 2 dedicated family liaison officers. They work specifically with the families of the ill, injured, and families of the fallen. And for families and members that are medically releasing from the Veteran Family Program, or we have the Veteran Family Program Coordinator, though she's not a part of the mental health team, she is very vital in supporting that CAF family that is transitioning out of the forces. And she's able to assist you and provide information and referral services to help them navigate that transition, whether they are staying in the local area or if they're moving to another base, she'll help them navigate that as well. So a lot of access points for families who are looking for additional supports. And as always, if you're unsure of where to go, then give us a call and we will be happy to redirect and let you know where you can get additional supports.
Thanks, Claudia. So even if someone's not facing a relocation, Claudia talks the idea about transitioning out of the military. Relationships go through deployments, and they also just go through a very regular cycle of, good days and bad days and good times and bad times. One of the tools that we have pointed to in the past is something called the Healthy Relationship Continuum that really sort of puts a visual to that. Can you talk about the Healthy Relationship Continuum and why sort of it's a useful tool for couples to take a look at?
Absolutely. So the Intimate Relationships Continuum, that was one of the first pieces actually that we developed of the campaign back in 2019. And the intention of the continuum is just as you say, Julie, it's recognizing that that all relationships exist on a continuum, and they range from what we defined as healthy to unhealthy to struggling and to abusive at the extreme end. And we know that relationships, they're not stationary. They face a range of challenges and ups and downs, and they evolve and change depending on different situations and different stressors. And of course, included within this can be the stressors specifically tied to the military lifestyle. So looking at those relocations as an example. As I mentioned, the Continuum, it covers 4 categories of relationships, and we worked with a number of mental health professionals and social workers as we were developing the Continuum. And we recognize that a couple, of course, may naturally move back and forth between different zones. So particularly between the first of the healthy zone to the struggling zone. But we also wanted the aim of the tool is really to flag that when relationship issues are reaching into that unhealthy zone, that a couple may need some external support, similar to the pieces that Claudia has flagged, those supports or resources or interventions to support them and to help that relationship and help them get better. Because we recognize the risk that unhealthy relationships can quickly escalate to even an abusive situation. So the aim really of the Continuum, it's a useful tool that I would encourage couples that they can use that to sit down even individually at first and reflect on the health of their relationship and talk about it then with your partner and think, where do we stand on this? So in addition to the Continuum, there's actually a chart as well that has a number of questions on it that you can use to reflect on different elements of your relationship. So for example, some of the questions are, how do we talk to one another? How do we handle money issues? How do we show anger? Because these are natural things that happen in relationships, and it's really just trying to understand, how are we doing this together? Is this working well? Do we need to change some behavior? So the tool, it's really a starting point, and from there you can again reflect and discuss with your partner, and then you could reach out to the MFRC for really to learn more about what types of supports are available to you in your relationship where you are at that time and what kind of programs that there are for you. So that's available on the Healthy Relationships website. And again, I think it's a nice tool that you could look at throughout the year as well. It's not, October is great to profile our healthy relationships, but this is something that continually can be a support to couples as well.
Thank you. You talked about reaching out for help and taking those steps. Claudia, we know for whatever reason, some couples may not feel comfortable coming to the MFRC, whether that's a timing issue, whether it's a comfort issue, and they're looking for other options for whatever reason. We always say that no door is the wrong door. So even if a family is not comfortable sort of working through with one of our clinicians, there are other resources that the MFRC may be able to hook them up with. Can you talk to some of those and how the MFRC might be able to help couples to sort of facilitate different solutions for their relationship issues?
Yeah, Julie, like you said, we offer a very diverse level of programs, but it is really about the options for families and providing them as many options as they're comfortable with. And we also know that the PMFRC cannot provide every level of service that a family may need. But we do have great collaboration within the community and within base partners, and we will always facilitate that warm handover with families for those resources if we refer them to those other resources. And, families can reach out for additional mental health supports, and they don't need to be referred to these other organizations. We go around making sure that the other organizations kind of understand why we say military families have that unique lifestyle, but then we also gather information of the services that they provide, so we're also well informed. We do have the Canadian Forces Members Assistance Program, and I believe many people are already familiar with that. It's a 24-hour 1-800 bilingual telephone service available to Reg Force members, their immediate family, spouse, partner, dependent children, that kind of stuff. We have the Family Information Line, which is under the CFMWS umbrella, and counselors provide supportive counseling 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, also a bilingual confidential service. There is the crisis text line for kids, and CFMWS has partnered with the Kids Help Phone, True Patriot Love, and Lockheed Martin to launch this crisis texting service for kids from military families living in Canada. Children and youth, young adults from military families can access this free mental health and well-being support by texting the keyword CAF Kids. There is a Life Speak Videos, which is an online health wellness platform that includes videos, podcasts, action plans. There's an Ask the Experts, I always get tongue-tied on that, session on 22 subjects that provide a bunch of insights and help you manage your mental health. We have spoken many times, and we have also invited them to our Fireside Chat. That's the Strongest Families Institute, and this service is available for children or youth between the ages of 3 and 17 who are experiencing behavior issues or anxiety. So they provide care to the families by teaching skills through their unique distance coaching approach. So this is all done virtually through the comfort and privacy of the family's home. And then last but certainly not least, we talked a bit about the Veteran Family Program support. There's also the Operational Stress Injury Social Support Group. We all know it as OSIS, and our VFP coordinator is very much engaged with them, and they provide a peer support network for CAF members, veterans, and their families who are experiencing operational stress injury. And I think there's probably more that are on the website, but those are the ones that we like to emphasize the most as immediate 24/7 accessible support services.
I love that you provided a range of resources because, I mean, if there's an issue with a relationship in a family, it doesn't just affect the two people in the relationship. It can affect the kids. It can affect like other people in the home. And the idea of that crisis texting line for youth, young people are in relationships, and I mean, they can get into unhealthy relationships and they don't necessarily know how to handle it. So I think it's a great resource for you are a young person that's not necessarily married or in a military relationship. Those relationships can also be unhealthy. And if you know, there are resources available if you do need to talk to somebody as a young person.
And Julie, before you
Yep.
move on, I just want to comment, these resources are national. It's not just the PMFRC. So if there is a family that is listening to this chat that is not in Petawawa, you can still reach out to them because they are national. You'll find that information on our website, but also on the national website, and likely every MFRC site will have the same information.
And all 32 of the MFRCs do share a website address, so cafconnection.ca. If you go up to that top toolbar, you can change it and find the MFRC closest to you. If you are not already connected with your MFRC, I'm sure they would love to hear from you. In the spirit of Healthy Relationship Week, I'm going to ask each of you, do you want to give us a tip of something that people could do to help build their own relationships, whether they're in a healthy relationship that they want to get better, or maybe sort of like moving over a little bit and trying to get back on tracks? What's some advice that you can give people to keep their relationship healthy?
Sure, I'm happy to. And I just wanted to go back to your point around teams, in particular in team dating, just to flag two resources that might be helpful if there are parents listening as well. We do have under the Healthy Relationships website a tip sheet that we developed with Kids Help Phone around talking with your teenagers about dating and healthy relationships. And we also have a recorded webinar with someone from Kids Help Phone around healthy relationships with teens and boundaries and how to have some of those discussions as a parent as well. So those may be useful. Thank
you very much. So your tips. I'm not gonna let you off the hook. You're gonna try to get off the hook and throw me off track with resources. No.
No, absolutely. I think, I would say as a tip, I think really taking the time to just sit for a moment and reflect on your relationship and reflect on how you and your partner are navigating your lives and how you're facing challenges and what's working well or where your strengths are and where you can build on them, but then also where there may be some challenges, and trying to think with your partner, envisioning where would we like to be in the next few months, let's say in 6 months, what would we like our relationship to look like? And then you could use the Intimate Relationships Continuum as a resource where you could look through and think, where are we now? Where would we like to be? And then I think taking a step to reach out, a lot of the services that we've heard from Claudia, they can be used to strengthen your relationship as it is now. You don't need to wait until there's a significant challenge. So I think just keeping it top of mind and finding ways to build on your strengths, and then also help continually build and improve on your relationship too. It's not really one tip, it's a mix of tips.
Claudia?
I'm going to say that communication is key, and sometimes the added stress of just being a military family can really challenge a couple or the whole family unit. It's always good to check in and see where each person is at. If you see your partner is struggling, be that active listener. Give them your full attention, acknowledge what they're feeling, and that's okay. It's okay to have those feelings. Giving them the emotional support and your trust and encouragement is, sometimes all that they need. And maintaining that healthy lifestyle is all about balance. And part of that may be making sure that you prioritize and plan time to do things together, right? Have that date night, put it on the calendar, make sure you fit that in, or even have a dedicated family game night. This may go a long way in the family feeling valued and supported. And I think it's just really about prioritizing that time because life is busy. If you're a couple with no kids, there's stuff that you're always involved in. And if you're a family with kids, there's kids' activities in school. So you really have to make sure you take the time to prioritize and communicate. I think those would be my two best tips.
As we said off the top, we've been doing these. This is our third Healthy Relationships Fireside Chat since COVID started. And I think the first year we did it, Dana Lawson had joined us and she gave excellent advice that just sort of rang so true for me is sometimes you want to have a difficult discussion with your partner or something happens and you want to talk back. To stop back and think, is this the right time to have this conversation? And she used the acronym HALT. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And if you're falling into one of those categories, maybe this is not the ideal time to launch into a big discussion. And a couple of times that I've, thought to myself, I'm like, you know what, this isn't the day. So, make sure that there is a good environment and there's a good attitude and there's a willingness to sit down and have that conversation and check in with yourself before you maybe start and say something that you might regret. I am hungry has always been one for me. And I'm like, yeah, right. This isn't the day. People might be watching this. And I think we all think about our own relationships, but we also think about friends' relationships. And I think all of us know the feeling of what it's like to see a friend struggling. But sometimes friends are struggling and you might be concerned about, where they are, whether that relationship is safe. Carley, if you are watching this and you are concerned about somebody in a relationship, a friend's relationship, are there resources that you can point them to sort of help them, have that discussion or help their friend in a proper, safe way without them feeling that maybe they're stepping past their scope?
Absolutely. And it's a really important point because as we mentioned at the beginning, relationships do ebb and flow and change. But if you as a friend, you're seeing some behaviors or some changes within your friend that you think could be tied to their relationship and you want to provide some support and you're a bit worried about it, absolutely. It's great to have that initiative, to want to take it on, and important that you do so in a way that is supportive and helpful to your friends. So we actually do have a tip sheet around supporting friends who you feel may be in an abusive or an unhealthy relationship. And we know it can be hard to do this, to start an honest conversation. It can be a little bit uncomfortable, but I think putting some thought into it beforehand will be helpful for you and for your friend, and to be able to address your friend's needs. So yes, we do have a tip sheet that you can access on their website. And we also have a wider course on supporting a friend that you think may be in an unhealthy or abusive relationship. And I would say, similar to some of the other points that we've talked about, doing this a little bit preemptively is a good idea too. So if you do feel that you want to reach out to a friend, making sure you take some time to review these resources before, so that you're best placed to really have that supportive conversation is important. So there is a tip sheet there that people can turn to. And I would just flag too that it's fantastic to be supporting a friend, but if anyone watching this maybe themselves feel that they're concerned around their own safety within their relationship, and that they're questioning how they can stay safe in their relationship or potentially leaving that relationship, we do have a resource as well about safety planning regardless if you're going to remain in the relationship or look at leaving, that I would encourage people to look at, again, to be able to proactively consider options available to you and supports available to you. And of course, if you yourself or you feel for your friend that there's any risk of immediate danger or risk, then to reach out to local authorities. And I know both of these pieces can be quite challenging. So just to try to appreciate that and to take some time to look at these different resources and prepare, whether for yourself or for discussing with a friend.
Thanks, Carly. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time. Again, Healthy Relationship Week. It is a good opportunity to sit back and reflect. It's a good opportunity to think about your own relationship and maybe see what you can do to make that investment. Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Claudia, both for joining us, and we will see you soon. Bye.